This will be the somehow the application a little bit. I'm going to give you the questions, equations on supply demand to finding the equilibrium, price, quantity, and how we are going to apply the inverse equations a little bit. I will introduce you and then go to the chapter 3 for introducing you the international trade a little bit regarding to this comparative advantages theory and absolute advantages theory, and then put some applications, and you will have one assignment. If you have any question, I am waiting. If not, then I will go start.
Okay, sir, please, do you have idea when classes are resuming physically in the school?
Currently, it's not possible because it is not allowed, but I will come after a few weeks before the midterm to do some applications, to do some um, um, calculations, okay?
Okay, thank you very much. That will be very kind of you.
Okay. Okay, as you are remembering from our former or last class, do you want me to go or flashback to you these slides of the supply and demand to refresh you, or is everything is okay?
Sir, please refresh, sir.
Okay, then before going to this, I will go back to the chapter 4, first part, to the last section to give you some information about these slides. Shifts from supply and demand. Okay. This was the chapter we have done. I will go only the last part. Is that okay for you to exercise these slides, shifts on supply and demand, how it is affecting and changing the market structure? I can give you quickly the reasons and the impact of the variables which is changing the demand. The price changing, first of all, is important because as much as you are increasing the price, you are observing here, if you shift the price up, the demand is decreasing. If you reduce the price down, the demand is enlarging. Therefore, we are concentrating the so-called influencer or parameters which is affecting and changing the demand curve. And the first one, as I said to you, is the price. The second one is the income. If your income is enlarged and increased, your demand is going to enlarge and increase. If it is decreased, then you reduce it. And prices of related goods, this is the substitution effect. You are going to replace some reasonable goods and services if you have some products which is becoming expensive and prefer to buy some other cheaper products, or if there are other good quality products with lower prices, then you will substitute it. This is then the substitution effect, which is affecting and changing the demand curve and the taste of the consumers. And taste is always important because you are shopping regarding to your taste and preferences, and this is the one of the most important parameter, or so-called the influencer of the demand curve. The expectations in future, if you are expecting, for example, currently we are having seasonal discount, then you don't buy in winter, then you will wait the winter season discount for shopping. Similarly, this is also realized for the future expectation for the products, maybe new newly introduced brand new products will come to the market and you will buy this. You don't want to buy the old versions. These kind of expectations affecting and changing the demand capacity and the number of the buyers and sellers together for the supply also is affecting the market structure. If there are sufficient product and there are too much buyers or consumers, demand capacity is increasing the price. If there is no sufficient buyers, weak demand capacity and preferences will probably reduce the price. Therefore, this kind of parameters affecting and changing the demand curve. And when we are going to the slope of this curve, we have exercise QD is equal to A minus BP, and B is here, as I said to you, is the slope of this curve. And you can use the differentiation for getting the slope of this curve for the price and quantity, 2 different points difference will give you the slope for determining whether it is a linear or non-linear curve. Of course, you can understand if it is power of 2 or 3, then you will then become probably the non-linear. But if it is not, then you have a linear equation. If there is 2 parameters and without powers, then this will be the linear equation indication. Then we have here the supply curve. I'm going to the influencer again for the supply curve because I have mentioned the supply, the shifts for the supply, what is affecting and changing. You will have here the price again. The price, if you are increasing the price, it is expected the amount of the produced goods and services is enlarging because producer dependent to the profit-oriented market and institution or firms subjected, and then we are dependent too much to the profit and price. The input price is also affecting. If the input price is increased and enlarged, then this will probably affecting the price, and either if it is too much expensive, then this cannot be reflected sometimes to the price level, and this will affect and change the production capacity. If the gas or electricity becomes expensive and the producer not able to pay these higher bills, then will probably reduce the production capacity or try to replace with the technology. As you are seeing, the third one is the technology. You may use older technology or you may have some new technology, newer version of the technology, which is accelerating and increasing your capacity. And this is then the important part for the economy. And expectations also here, if you know that the next season tomato price will increase, then you will prefer to do something else to produce next season or to store in a cold refrigerators and then sell it to the market if it is durable for 3 months at least, because tomato and vegetables, fruit and vegetables are not long lasting. Therefore, for the short period of time, you can do such things in agriculture, but in the industrial products, you can do such things by storing it and selling it to the market when the price is going up. And number of sellers, of course, here, if monopoly, for example, is in the subject, is in the market, which means there is only one seller, and monopsony, there is only one consumer, then this is affecting and changing the market structure. Let's say we have here the monopoly market, then the monopoly producer will determine the price and will be the only player in the market. Therefore, he is playing and changing. He is playing the market with the production capacity and the price changes. And this is then, of course, affecting and changing the market, which is one of the important parameter. Okay, let's go to the last part that you are requested. I'm not going to give you this. The supply equation, equilibrium, we have mentioned this. Increase and large. I can't do this once again because we have done this last lecture. we have done surplus is the upper part of the equilibrium, and the deficit or scarcity is the lower part of the equilibrium. This is the surplus, upper part of the equilibrium. And if it is below the equilibrium, this means there is a scarcity. As you are observing here, supply is more than demand. Therefore, at 2.5 or 50 price for the ice cream is too much, and the demand capacity is decreasing to 4 units, as you are observing on the graphic, and the quantity produced is 10 units. Therefore, we have to do something to reduce the price for bringing the market to the equilibrium. And
Yes, sir.
yes, you have question?
Yeah, I'm not seeing what you're discussing.
You don't see the slides? You
I'm
mean?
just seeing the slide, the demand you're talking about, the figure you are calling. I'm not seeing them.
Probably because of the server access. Sometimes this has happened for some students. They are quitting and coming again, and this is becoming okay. This will then solved.
Maybe you should go off and join back again. That's the guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because the other students are able, isn't it? You are also seeing.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, then you better
Yes,
quit
sir.
and come. I will wait for you and discuss the last part after you are attending, okay? These are the slides of the demand curve, and there is also slides for the supply curve that we are going to quickly refresh you. As you are observing, the slides of the demand and supply is affected from income, supply, price is also important, expectations, buyers, sellers. These are the things, income, price, as I said to you, taste of the consumers. These things affecting and changing the supply and demand, producer numbers, everything affecting and changing supply and demand. But let's see how it is going to be affected when price for something is changing, or when the demand is or income is changed. What will happen to the market? If bilaterally affected, then we will see what is going to be. As you see, an income increase in price of sugar reduces the supply of ice cream. This is how it is going to be. This will then affect and change the market regarding to these price changes, as you are observing, because price of the sugar is increased. Sorry, price increase in the price, an increase in the price of sugar reduces the supply, because this is the input, and when you are observing on the market, negatively affected. This is the input impact to the market, as I have mentioned to you in the former slides. Therefore, this kind of changes affecting and changing the market too much and reduce the market capacity as much as you are observing. Similarly, the energy, if the energy is going to be expensive, then the amount of the price for the ice cream probably will become expensive, and this will then affect the market negatively either. Such things affecting and changing the market. And now we are here to see what happens to price and quantity when no change in demand, no change in supply. When it is so, then as you see, price and quantity will be same, unique, nothing change. When this is then illustrated for the graph 1 and 2. You are seeing this graphics?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
No, teacher.
No.
The price of ice cream.
Yes, teacher.
Okay, I saw it.
You saw it. Sometimes
Thank
it's
you.
transferring very slowly. Sometimes for some students whose internet connection is a little bit slowly, sometimes this transfer comes slowly. Therefore, if you wait some 1 minute maybe is okay. As I said to you, for the graph 1 and 2, we are talking about the increase and decrease for the demand. No change in demand, an increase in demand and decrease in demand. This is supposed to be the vertical first column. And on this graphic, we are illustrating the graphic 1 and graphic 2. As you see, the graphic 1 and graphic 2 is the upper part. And graphic 3 and graphic 4 is the lower part of this, let's say, slide. Then we have here an increase in demand means price going up, but quantity is not changing. This is the graphic 1, isn't it? And a decrease in demand, when the decrease in demand is realized, then in graphic 2 is illustrated, it is then shifting the demand to the left side. In the first part, in the first graphic, it is shifted to the right side. You see the graphic 1 and graphic 2, increase in demand and decrease in demand. Increase in demand is illustrated in the graphic 1, and decrease in demand is illustrated on the graphic 2. Is clear now? This is the first column. And the
No, sir. Please explain again.
Graphic 1 is illustrating the first column that we are talking, and the first column we are also having the graphic 2 either. The first column represent no change in demand when no change in supply is subjected. An increase in demand, no change in supply means price going up, quantity is up. Then as you are observing here, is the graphic 1 represent price going up, then quantity is going also up. You see?
Yes, sir.
Okay. In the second graphic, where the decrease in demand is subjected, but no change in supply is in the case, then we have here the quantity which is produced is going down because decrease in demand is subjected. Then this is expected that the demand is shifted downward. Okay? You see?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Then we are going to the second column. Similarly, the blue written is the explanation. It is the meaning where it is intersect on the table. You see an increase in demand and increase in supply. Now we are concentrating. Or we are here graphic 3 and 4, increase and decrease demand. Let's say we are concentrating only because we have in the following slides the lower part. I will give you only the decrease and increase on demand and supply. Decrease and increase on demand and supply is represented on graphic 1 and graphic 2. Decrease and increase on supply is represented on graphic 3 and graphic 4. Okay? A decrease in supply now is in subject. What is happening? As you see, P is up, Q is down. You got it? No change in demand, a decrease in supply now. Price reduction is in subject here. And Q is down for graphic 4. And graphic 3 is represented. You got it?
Yes, sir. Please continue.
Graphic 3 and graphic 4. When the price down, the supply is supposed to be affecting and changing and enlarge. And in the second one, when the price go up, is the supply curve is going up, approaching to the vertical axis. Then we have the other four applications where the increase and decrease on supply and demand bilaterally realized. Then we will have separately in the following slides. Let's see in the following graphic. This is the simplest. The format, these are the graphic 1 and graphic 2, as I said to you, represent only the increase and decrease demand, and graphic 3 and graphic 4 represents only the increase and decrease in supply. Therefore, this is not difficult because only one parameter is changed. But let's see here, when the supply decrease and then the demand also increase, this is then bilaterally affected and changed the market. A demand increase, supply decrease, equilibrium price, as you are observing here, is changing. Increase the equilibrium quantity in determinant because you are having here P, or the price, is going up, and Q become ambiguous because of this demand increase. You have understand, or have you understood? Is clear?
Sir, can you please explain this again?
First, supply is decreasing. Supply is decreasing. The green line, as you are observing here, is changing. You got it? S is the green, is moving to the gray one. And then demand is increasing because of supply is decreasing. You got it? Because supply is decreasing in the first part, but then after the demand is also increasing. Then shift the demand to the S dash and D dash, where is the new equilibrium realized. Therefore, Q become ambiguous, is not changing. Q is not change. It stay intact on the axis, on the x-axis. You got it? Because price is changing now only. Because supply and demand is affected in this case. You got it?
Yes, sir.
If you don't, then I can explain. Is clear? If you don't, then let me know.
Yes, sir, it's clear.
Okay. Then we have here the first demand decrease and then the supply decrease either. First, demand decrease. What's the meaning of this? Demand is sliding towards to the equilibrium or approaching to the price, X, Y axis. As you see, demand is in the first place is red, and then it is becoming to brown. And the other one says supply is also decreasing. Then the supply is also shifted to the price, towards to the equilibrium, towards to the upper level. Therefore, this changing affecting only the quantity, and quantity goes from Q0 to QE, where the new equilibrium is realized, because price is not affected here. Since the demand is decreased and then the supply is also decreased, then no problem, because then there is no need to reduce or increase the price. Then price is stay intact. Yeah. You have understood, or have you understood?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Then we have here Q increase, P ambiguous or not changed, I said, and or reduce supposed to be. Then we have here increase in demand and increase in supply here. Demand increase, supply increase, equilibrium price indeterminate. The equilibrium quantity is supposed to be increased. Either or not, we don't know. It is a speculative position now, because we are talking about demand increase and then the supply is also increased. And as you are observing here, the supply and demand curve is becoming to the newer position, wherein the purple lines represented. And results of this changing, it can be ambiguous, the price, or it can be reduced or stay intact. Therefore, as you are observing here, it could be on the same level, the price, but it is supposed to be here reduced a little bit, because as much as the demand and supply is increasing, is affecting and changing bilaterally the quantity produced and demanded, and of course price is also either intact or ambiguous or indeterminate or maybe changed or reduced. Okay, this is the market structure. This is speculative structure of the market. Sometimes happens. And then here we have the Q ambiguous again because demand decrease and then supply is increasing. First, demand is decreasing. As you see here, demand reduced, approaching to the equilibrium, sorry, to the origin, to the price, towards to the left, and then the supply is increasing here because of demand reduced. And when the supply is supposed to be increased, then Q become ambiguous because demand is decreasing and supply is increasing. And this will then cause the price to reduce from P0 to P equilibrium, new equilibrium level. Then the Q supposed to be stay intact because it is negatively affected. Then quantity is not changed. Or maybe, as I said in the former position, indeterminate. Is clear? Demand is decreasing. Yes, yes.
Sir, can you please explain this again?
Demand is decreasing here from red to brown, and the supply is increasing from green to brown again. Then the brown intersection represents the new equilibrium. As you are observing here, the price level is changing, but Q is not changing because as much as demand decrease, the supply is affected and change and increase. You see? And results of this changing, it is expected the quantity is not changed, or Q become ambiguous and price become reduced. You can determine. It is expected either not change or maybe we don't know what will happen, or it is stay intact again. But we are usually supposing it is stay intact if it is affecting and changing the market in this direction. If the demand is decreasing, because reduction on the demand has meant the recession. But then if it is expected the supply is also increasing, which is enlarging the market, then the too much market, you see too much product in the market, but less demand there. Therefore, the price is supposed to be reduced. You have understood? You have to understand the logic here. And this will then negatively affecting the market because too much product in the market, but demand is decreasing and the supply is continue to enlarge. And results of this, we are expecting the prices reduced. And results of this price reduced, the market either going to be ambiguous or will be intact or indeterminate or stay intact, stay same. Okay? You have understood what is happening. This is scenario.
Okay.
You got
Okay,
it or
sir.
you don't? You
Yes,
have
sir.
to understand the logic, because if you think demand is reduced, you don't buy something, but supplier or the producer continue to produce, isn't it? What will happen if something is too much in the market?
The
We
price
are
will
expecting
fall.
fall, isn't it? Therefore, when the price is falling, but the demand is not changing, demand may be reduced or whatever it is either indeterminate because you continue to produce, but demand is not changing or demand is decreasing. Therefore, this changing in the market where the demand is reduced to the left and the supply is to the right, this is contradiction between supply and demand and cause only the price decrease, and we suppose quantity is not changing in the market. It can be enlarged but not affecting the equilibrium. The equilibrium is not changing. You have understood? Therefore, this is what is this is the expectation, or as it is written here, it can be indeterminate because of this market structure, because one is going to decrease, which is the buyer, and the other one, the supplier, is going to enlarge and increase their production, and this is then probably negatively reflected to the price level. Okay, this was the last lecture. Once again, I can quickly refresh you. The demand increase, supply increase, equilibrium price indeterminate, equilibrium quantity increases. Demand increase, supply decrease, equilibrium price increase, equilibrium quantity indeterminate. And demand decrease, supply increase, equilibrium price decrease, equilibrium quantity indeterminate or maybe intact. And the demand decrease, supply decrease, equilibrium price indeterminate, equilibrium quantity decreases. So the last lecture was, then I'm going to the new chapter, that we can exercise now the applications a little bit. You don't have to worry about these slides. You will understand by time when you are getting the logic, the reflection of the parameters, if the price is increased and the demand is not changing, or if the price is increased but the supply is not changing, or increasing, decreasing. This kind of things will then comes to you whenever you are getting involved to the chapters much and you increase and enlarge your knowledge, you will then have no problem, I am sure. You don't have to.
Teacher,
Yes, please.
teacher, can I?
I'm listening.
How you
Yes.
explain? Okay, how you explain the demand is the same and the price go up? This phenomenon.
The
How you
demand.
explain it?
The demand
The demand is the same. Is the same.
is the same.
Not changing. Yes.
Is the same. You mean? Because your voice is
Yes,
come
is
very.
the same.
Is the same. Demand is same. Yes.
But the price grow up.
Price. Only demand is same.
Yes.
What is happening to supply?
What he meant is that demand is not increasing, but the price continues to go.
This is because of the supplier. Probably either the production capacity is less, and this will then affect the market. Currently, as you are observing, there is not too much demand in the market, but the producer either probably not producing sufficiently and demand and the price going up, isn't it? Or because of the energy, the demand capacity is not changing, but the energy price is increasing because of the foreign input, and this will then affect and change the market negatively, and this cause price increase. Currently, we are exercising same because of the X rate. We have the X rate disparities. You know, the foreign currency continuously increasing, and the energy price, the gas, natural gas and energy which is using in the production operation process becoming expensive. And when this is expensive, this will be reflected to the price, isn't it? Even if it is in the domestic market produced, even if it is local production, not the imported products, or it is because of the X rate disparities. Your currency is decreasing, depreciating, and your depreciated currency will become cheaper for the foreigners, but your imported products will become expensive to you. Similarly, when the demand capacity is affected, this is affected because the producer want more profit. Too much, let's say, influencer is in the subject. You are understanding. Therefore, we don't know exactly what is really the reason, but mostly the producers desire to get more profit, the desire to get more income and resources. This will accelerate and increase the prices. And this is inflation. As you are knowing, rising the general price level or increasing the general price is the inflation. And when the price increase continuously in the market, realize this is not good for the economy, because this will then the indication soon we have the recession, because demand is in decrease. And when the demand is decreasing, you have the recession. You understand, you have economical problems soon. We are expecting in 2023 recession, and it is probably because of this speculative actions of the supplier and demander. And mostly the supplier affected and changed the market because of this desired or not undesired or affections, where it is coming from the foreigners or it is coming or realized from the internal market, because of the production capacity, because of the X-rate disparities between the currencies, domestic and foreign currencies, or because of the input prices. Too many things affecting and changing. You have understood? These are the things which is not good for the economy. Unfortunately, we are in this period, and we don't know what will happen. It is soon cries in the door, I suppose, I suggest, in the gate. We will see what will happen. Shall we go to the next chapter? If you don't have any question.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Please
Okay.
continue.
Yes, sir.
Okay, then we have here the supply and demand application. This is again not difficult for you. I am doing this for your knowledge to become a little bit familiar to the calculations. And as it is introduced to you, the equilibrium is defined as the state of rest, a situation that one achieved will not change unless some external factors previously held constant or changes. The market equilibrium, a market is said to be in equilibrium if the price in the market is such that the quantity supplied and the quantity demanded is in the equal position. And when we are illustrating this on the market, it is represented as you are observing here, where the blue or purple is it, these intersect each other at 1.5 price and quantity probably 5,000. And at point, let's say 3,000, quantity 3,333 is the scarcity. The production capacity is less, but the demand capacity is too much. As you are observing, there is 6,666.66 is the demand capacity, and there is the differences between this 6,666 minus 3,333 will gives you the differences of the scarcity, the products which will be imported from the foreigners or should be covered from the other producers or from the imported foreign countries. And when you are looking to the point 2, where the price is increased to 2, then there is surplus. And now again we have the surplus. Similarly, this surplus equally represented. Yes, please. Prince. You have question? Okay. As you see, we have the similar representation for the scarcity and surplus. And when we draw this line to the blue demand and to the yellow, then you have upper part where the price become 2 and the scarcity represent now the surplus. And as much as you are above the equilibrium, this means the overproduction. And overproduction again represented with 3,333 units for the demand now and 6,666 for this supplier where it is surplus. And the difference is again the surplus. This is not good for the economy. These two illustration and two indications is given to you similarly for the hamburgers, where the price changes affecting and changing the market heavily. At $1, you have scarcity because you have less production. At $2, you have surplus, and 1.5, you have the equilibrium, where it is around 5,000 unit is produced. Okay, this is the expression of the supply and demand in the equilibrium. And then we have the numbers here, where it is given. As you see, at 1.50, we have the 5,000 units supplied and 5,000 units produced, where the equilibrium realized. And $2, as I said to you, it is surplus either, or at 1.50, sorry, at 1 point, it is the scarcity, which is not given here. Then we have here surplus and excess in the market can be represented at a given price. The excess of the quantity supplied over the quantity demand is this surplus, or is the excess supply, or the overproduction. And when you are looking to the excess supply, is the amount of the produced goods will be multiplied with the price, and the amount of the demanded good will be multiplied with the price, and the difference will gives you the surplus or the overproduction or the excess supply. And then we have here the excess supply at 2.1, where 7,000 is supplied and 2,600 units is demanded. Therefore, the difference between this, when you are multiplying with the price, will gives you the amount of the surplus which is existing in the market. You see, if you multiply it then with this 4,400 with the 2.1, then you will get the monetary value of this surplus. This is the quantity, amount of the produced good which is surplus in the market. And if you multiply this with 2.1, then you will get the surplus in monetary value, in the capital amount, okay? Then we have here 1.20, which is below the equilibrium now. Then we have here 4,000 supplied and 6,200, which is demanded. Then we have here the scarcity at that price, 1.20. Then we have minus 2,200 unit, which is not in the market. We should import this much amount. You're gonna multiply this with 1.20, then you will get the amount of the scarcity or lower production or inefficient production in the market. At a given price, the excess of the quantity demanded over the quantity supplied is called excess demand. And excess demand is the QD multiplied with the price and minus QS multiplied with the price, which means QD is the demand multiplied with the price minus supply amount will be multiplied with the price, will gives you the excessive demand or surplus.
Sir,
yes, please.
So this is also called deficit.
Excess is not deficit. Excessive means much.
Okay.
You see here, we have here 0.90, 3,000 unit produced and demanded 7,400. And at a price 0.90, more demand is realized when you are multiplying with the price and subtract is the quantity produced with the price, will get the deficit. Okay, 4,400 units is supposed to be in deficit. Okay.
Sir, I have one question.
Yes, please.
Sir, what is the difference between a surplus and scarcity? I'm confused, that's why.
Surplus means overproduction. You have too much supply.
Okay.
And scarcity means you have less production. There is insufficient. There is insufficient
okay.
in the production. Okay, scarcity means less production, inefficient production. Okay. Here we have, for example, 2.1, and you know that 1.50 is the equilibrium price, isn't it? 1.5 is the equilibrium because we have the same quantity produced and demanded. Therefore, when you look to the table, you will understand automatically when the supply and demand quantity is equal, this means this is in equilibrium. And when this above the price or the quantity is the mean surplus, above the equilibrium, above this 1.50, we have the surplus, and below this 1.50, we have the scarcity, or so-called the lower production. You got it? Now we have 2.1,
Yes,
and this is the surplus. And when the surplus is going to be estimated, you have to multiply it with this, or you're going to subtract this 7,000 from 2,060, where you are getting 4,600. Then multiply it with 2.1, then you will get the 4,400, sorry, then you will get the amount of the capital which is excessive, which is overproduction. Okay? When you're gonna multiply this 4,400 with 2.1, you will have, this is the quantity produced, surplus. When you're going to multiply it with the point price, where it is 2.1, is then giving you the monetary value of this surplus. Okay? Is it clear? I think it is clear. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. A market is in equilibrium when the price is such that the quantity supplied is equal to the quantity demanded, we have mentioned. And market is in equilibrium when the price is so that the excess supply equals to the excess demand equals 0. Therefore, if there is no difference between supply and demand, as I said to you, if it is 5,000 unit produced and 5,000 unit demanded, then there is, of course, 0 unit, which is excessive or scarcity. Then there is equilibrium amount in the market. And when you multiply this with the price, then you will get the equilibrium quantity in monetary value. Excess supply and excess demand and the price pressure. When the quantity demanded in the market exceeds the quantity supply at a given price, is the means demand in the market is much. Where you see QD is multiplied with P means is higher than the QS, where it is multiplied with the price. There is surplus now. And there is excess demand, or there is a surplus, there is overproduction, too much product in the market. It's not good for the economy. And the price is supposed to be increasing. It's not good. When the price in the market is rising, the quantity demand falls because demand and price inversely proportional. We have mentioned this from the former classes. You know, there is inverse proportional relationship between the price and the quantity demanded. QD and P is the inversely proportional. Therefore, as much as price going up, we are expecting demand reduced. And as much as the price going down, we are expecting demand enlarged and increased. 0 price, maximum demand, isn't it? Free of charge, you will enjoy to shop everything, isn't it? No money to pay anything, then you will buy. In Cuba, some market structures is realizing this direction because government supporting the people with a certain amount of capital for shopping and getting the things they are desiring without payments. Therefore, this kind of things realizing the socialist or communism, which is not anymore in the system, the Soviet regime already collapsed, and most of the Iron Curtain countries, so-called Poland, Hungary, some other countries in the EU, where they joined to the European Union, was already in the curtain, in the Iron Curtain, dependent to the Soviet regime. But now they have this liberal economical approach where there is a free market structure and nothing is much affected from the governmental interventions. But in the Soviet regime, it was like everybody using the similar cars, buying similar house, using similar clothes, going to the similar holidays. You are understanding socialist system is somehow is the poverty regime. But the capitalist regime is letting the people to get as much as they desire, to let them laissez-faire doctrine, to make more enjoy to shop and enlarge their market as much as they are continue or maintaining their production operation with the international market structures without making high intervention or strong intervention to the market. There are some interventions in the Keynesian economics also is mentioned. When this price is too high or when there is scarcity in the market, sometimes we have to intervene to the market, or when there is an international market structure and the global firms, large-scale firms come to your country, then you may require to protect your baby industries or infant industries. These kind of things can be realized and controlled with this liberal economical approach. But as I said to you, this was not in the subject when the Soviet regime was in the system. Anyway, until an equilibrium is reached at which quantity demanded equals to quantity supplied. This is expected. Up to the equilibrium, you are expecting to maintain your production operation process. But when you are reaching to the equilibrium, it is not necessary to maintain or enlarge and increase your equilibrium, because this will not good for the economy, because it is creating surplus, and surplus means either the price decrease or price increase, because this kind of reorganization and rearrangement in the system will cause too much to the economy. Therefore, if it is in the system too much surplus, then there be a recession. There should be a recession, or there should be some crisis, because too much production in the market and low demand. And since you don't manage to maintain sustainable economical model with the sustainable price, or fixed, or so-called to not floated too much, then this is then problem, because such shifts up and down in the price not good for the economy, because you don't know what will happen. As we are exercising currently in everyday life, we are changing the prices, we are buying everything. Next time when we go to the shop, the price going up, or sometimes it is reducing because nobody is buying, and this is not good for the economy. We want to create some sustainable model where the price policy is not too much too much moving up and down. It is better to have some fixed price where there may play 0.5 or maximum 1 point or 2 points, because higher than 3 points is not good for the economy. And it is also known above 3 points for the inflation is not good for the economy. And most of the developed countries playing with the price policy just only to 1 to 2 points, maximum 3 points, not much. But in our countries, as you are observing, 10%, 20%, 30%, 40%, they are increasing the prices, maybe 100%, because in a year, you are observing the price becoming double. When you are buying something in 2 Turkish lira, you are going to buy, it is saying it is 4 Turkish lira, maybe 5 Turkish lira, maybe 6 Turkish lira. This is unacceptable economical model, because they are not controlling the currency. The currency is not anymore in fixed, is not anymore under the control of the government. And the foreign currencies is also affecting, because we are affected and we are in the interaction with the other countries. And as much as the exchange rates and the disparities between the foreign currency and domestic currency is very high, this will cause too much to the economy, and it is not good. When we are looking to this process of price rising so that excess demand falls to zero, is called price rationing. So the graphical analysis of excess supply is going to be given to you now. Then as you are observing here, as much as the excess supply is in the market, you see there is a surplus, where the surplus for the brown line is above 6,000, which is represented, and QS multiplied with P means higher than QD multiplied P, and we have here excess supply in the market, and we are expecting to price fall, because at $2 or 2 Turkish lira, this is not demanded too much. We have to reduce the price to 1.50 or 1.20 to accelerate the market structure, where the demand is going to be motivated and become accelerated and reflected and responding to this market, to this production. And when we are looking to the scarcity now, one should ask me, or lower production at $1, you have the lower production, because at $1, producer cannot maintain their production, and they are producing less than 4,000 units. As you are observing here, it is around 3,000 or 3,300 some. Therefore, we have to increase the price to the upper level for bringing the market to the equilibrium, because now we have too much scarcity in the market, and we have more than 6,000, around 7,000 units in the market demanded, but we have less than 4,000, around 3,300 units produced, and this is the scarcity. Half of this production must be imported. This means the difference between produced and demanded products should be demanded or should be produced in the market with the newly developed market structure, or should be imported from the foreigners for covering the demand of the consumers. Otherwise, there will be a problem in the market and the price will go up because the offered or the supply capacity is very low, and we should do something for maintaining the market with the importation. Otherwise, the price will go up very high and the demand will become reduced, probably will become excessive supply again at that price where it is going to be increased and large. Okay. If you are having problem or you want me to refresh you, just let me know. If don't, then I will continue because I don't know.
Sir, can you please explain the last slide again, because it was not showing to me then I rejoined the class.
Okay, this one.
Yes, sir.
I said QD is here more than QS, isn't it? The blue line is the demand curve and the brown line is the supply curve. And you see the equilibrium price is above and the scarcity or lower production is in the market now. You have to understand when the demand is more than supply, this will accelerate the price increase because this is the indication that there is too much demand in the market and less production. And when something is too demanded, the price will goes up. This is something like that. Rarely founded materials is always very expensive, isn't it? Diamond, for example, is very expensive because it is not very often founded material, or pearl, isn't it? Similarly, if you have something less in the market, it is expected the price going up. But if something is more in the market, if it is too much in the market, then the price will fall down. But here it is expected that the price will go up because there is high demand and lower supply, isn't it? QD multiplied P is higher than QS multiplied P. It is given in the equation. Therefore, we have to produce more or we have to import more for preventing price increase, because price increase is the inflation, and when the inflation is in the market is not good for the economy, as I said to you. Then we have to do something for preventing this market structure. You understand? Is clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Then the equilibrium is the supply is equal to demand, we said, and to find the equilibrium in the market, set up equal to the demand and solve the price. What is the meaning of this? We have to find the equations first. Then substitute P in the supply and demand equations to get the quantities. This is how we are going to do the equation to find the price and the quantity in demand and the equilibrium price and the equilibrium quantity. We will solve in a minute. An example is given to you. QD is equal to 20 minus 2P. And when we are representing this, the 20 is the intercept, isn't it? Therefore, 20 minus 2P has meant we have the demand 20. The demand is 20 where it is intercept. And you have to intercept the demand with the 20 and then represent it as it is given here. When you give the QD 0, then you will have the intercept price for the price is 10, isn't it? When you add the 20 to the other side, when the QD is 0, then 20 will become minus 20 divided to 2, then it is positive because minus to minus will gives you the positive number. Therefore, 20 divided to 2 is 10. Therefore, we have the two intercept points, two intersection points for the price and quantity. The 10 and 20 is founded already for the demand curve. Then we illustrated demand curve, isn't it? It's clear now? Okay. Then we don't have any problem with this. but we have to put into the system the supply curve probability for finding the equilibrium. Then the supply curve equation is given here. As you see in the former example, here the supply curve slope is -2 because between price and quantity there is inverse proportional relationship. You have understood? Is it clear?
Yes, sir, what does the blue line represent? The
Repeat
12 and 4.
again.
Blue line is the demand curve. Demand.
Okay, sir.
It is written demand, but as you see, -2 on the equation represent the slope, which is delta P over delta Q, isn't it? And when you are having the two difference of this curve, you will have the slope of this curve. And as you see, the 20 minus 0 is 20, and 10 minus 0 is 10. Therefore, QD over Q, sorry, delta Q over delta P, or vice versa, delta P or delta Q will gives you the slope of this curve, which is -2, where it is represented on the curve, because 20 minus 0 is going to be represented as delta Q, and 10 minus 0 is representing the delta price or delta P. Then delta P over delta Q will be the slope of this curve, which is -2 in the given equation. Then relationship between price and quantity is differently represented and is inversely related. As you are observing, as much as the price going down, the quantity demanded is high. Okay? It's clear? Shall we
Okay,
go
sir.
to the supply? Okay. Then we have here the supply equation. Now the supply equation represent now the intercept negative, because the supply curve has meant you don't produce when there is no price. Therefore, it is in the intercept and it goes to the, you see, negative part. -4 is on the quantity is negative, but we didn't illustrate it because we don't have something negative. Then we are supposing it is intercept the price, where you are dividing, when you give the 0, QS is 0, then you will have the price -2 is going to be to the other side as 4, divided to 2 is going to be 2. Then we have the price as $2, let's say, as the starter for the supply curve. And if you want to find the other points, you will give again some numbers to finding the supply curves, let's say, whether it is linear or nonlinear, which is linear curve. Then you will then draw this supply curve here, where it is -4 plus 2p is the equation. Then we have here QS and QD to intersect, to put onto the graphic together to see how is the market structure is realized. QD is 20 minus 2p is given, and QS is -4 plus 2p is given again. Then we have here intersection, isn't it? Then we want to find here the equilibrium price and the equilibrium quantity. Then we have to make equal. Then we have to put these two equations together, which means -4 plus 2p is equal to 20 minus 2p. Then with this equation, where we are equalize it, then you will find the price, isn't it? This price that you are going to find is the equilibrium price, which is 6. Let's calculate it. 20 minus 2p is equal to -4 plus 2p. Then you are going to find the p as 6. You got it? Is it clear? Or shall I have to go step by step? Is it clear this?
Sure, can you
Please
Sir,
go
explain
please
step
go
by
step by
step.
step.
Sure.
Yes, please.
Sir, can you explain me this -4 plus 2p? I didn't understand this equation from the graph.
-4
Plus 2p.
This is the equation. This is the supply equation. And 20 minus 22p is the demand equation. Isn't it?
Yes.
Then you are going to add each other 4 plus for eliminating minus 4, isn't it? Because we
Yes.
want to let the p alone. Then minus 4 plus 4 is 0. And when you add the plus 4 here, then it makes 24, isn't it?
Yes.
24 minus 2p is equal to 2p because we are eliminating the 4 from the left, from the right side. Then you have to divide each other this 2 because you have to divide each other for finding the p. Therefore, 24 dividing 2 or 24 adding to the other side 2 plus 2p and 2p plus 2p for eliminating each other's 2p, isn't it? Because we want to transfer 2p to the other side. Therefore, you are going to add to the left side plus 2p and to the other side plus 2p, because if you add each equation similar numbers, this equation will not changing, isn't it? Therefore, you add 2p to the each side, and this will then eliminate 24 minus 2p plus 2p, which is 0, and then 24 will become alone, and the 2p on the right side multiplied, sorry, added to the 2p is going to be 4p. Then you have now alone this p, and the other side, the intercept, so-called 24. Then when you are going to divide this to 4, then you will have here the 6, isn't it? Because when you're dividing 24 to 4 is 6. Is clear? Is okay?
Yeah.
This is easy.
Okay.
Okay. Then we have to put this p to the equation, isn't it? Anyone to find the equilibrium supply.
Sir, once more, please.
You have here the equilibrium price. Then you have to put this number, price number, to the QD for finding the equilibrium quantity, isn't it? When you are putting to the supply, for example, or demand here, 20 minus 2p, what is the meaning of this? 20 minus 2 multiplied 6 is 20 minus 12 is 8. Then the QD is the 8, where QD is equal to QS is 8. Then we have here the equilibrium price 6 and the equilibrium quantity is 8. Then we have here on the equilibrium, which is solved on this graphic, is given. For solving the equation, we get equivalent equations if on both sides of the equality sign we do the following. Add the same number, subtract the same number, because this is how it is going to be solved. This is the simplest way if you don't know mathematics well. And multiply by the same number or 0 and divide it by the same number, which is going to help you to determine and solve the problems for the following examples that will be given to you. The comparative statistics, or what happens when things changing. The demand shifts or the supply shift is affecting bilaterally the economy in the different ways. And when the supposing the demand shift is in the market, increase in demand shift to the right will increase the equilibrium price and the quantity, as we have exercised in the former chapter. That is going to be done for the equilibrium, for the equations that we have given. But this should be realized with the numbers now. You are understanding decrease in demand shift to the left will decrease the equilibrium price and the quantity. Therefore, change in demand and change in supply is affecting and changing the market bilaterally. As you are observing here, the equilibrium price is 6 and the equilibrium quantity is 8. And when you are observing these shifts, which is going to be given to you here, can be calculated by the numbers. But now I am not going to give you, but I have to refresh you in the following chapters with the following examples that will be given to you in the exercise part. Then we will do it with the online class either, or I will come to the class, to the university, to the face-to-face lecture, and then we will do these things, because you may need some inverse equations and these things need some comprehensive explanation, and I don't want to bother you with these. Increase in supply shift to the right will decrease the equilibrium price and increase the equilibrium quantity. We have mentioned this in the former chapter, as I mentioned to you. And decrease in supply shift to the left will increase the equilibrium price and decrease the equilibrium quantity. And change in supply, as you are observing here, it is depending either to the downward or to the upward. It is depending what is going to be into the market. It can be shifted to the up or down because it is required to know whether the price is affected or the quantity to change and decrease and enlarge the market regarding to these changes. If the price is decreasing, then it is, as you are observing here, it is decreasing. If the price is increasing, it is affecting and changing the market to the upper level. As you see, when the price is 8, the equilibrium is changing and become to the red line. And when it is reduced to, let's say, 5, it is becoming to the purple. When price ceiling is in the market, which we are going to exercise this also in another chapter, occurs when some outside force set a price for the market that is below the equilibrium price. Price ceiling means where you are going to possibly increase it. And when quantity supplied and quantity demanded differ, the short side of the market, whichever of the two quantities is less, will prevail. And when we are going to observe this price ceiling or higher because of less supply, increase price from 1 to 2. As you are observing here, we are having here now the price ceiling and shifting, as you see here, QD multiplied P is higher than QS multiplied P. And this is then, of course, the less supply. The results, queuing shortage, because if you have something less in the market, as I said to you, this will then enlarge and increase the market because everybody wants to buy, but there is some products, not too much product. It is not good, a black market so-called. And the price floor, a price floor occurs when some outside force set a price for the market that is above the equilibrium price. This is then the highest price, then the selling price. Selling price is the limit that it is letting you, but price floor is the limitation, so-called, reducing the lowest price that you can do it. When quantity supply and quantity demand differ, the short side of the market, whichever of two quantities is less, will prevail or win. Therefore, price floor or low because of excess supply reduce the price from 2 to 1 again, and this will then create, as you see, the price 1 is QS is now higher than the QD, where it is expected excess supply. Therefore, if it is realized in this direction, this is the next season impact to the market, because price floor is somehow not letting you to increase the market or not letting you to reduce the market with the selling or price floor. You are going to limit. This is somehow intervention to the market. You are not letting the price to reduce below this price, or you are not letting the price to increase above this price, price ceiling and price floor. Therefore, these things affect the market, because if it is not letting the price to reduce lower level is problem, or if it is not letting the price to go to the higher level, it is also problem for the economy. It is important to know whether this price floor and price ceiling is in the equilibrium or below the equilibrium. If it is excessively realized for the price ceiling is problem, because it is not affecting the market. But if it is below the equilibrium, it is causing some impact to the economy, because it is not letting the price to go up to the equilibrium level. You are not letting the market to approach to the equilibrium. And price for bilateral is similar. If it is well below the market, it is again not good for the economy. This topic will be introduced to you in the following chapters. Therefore, I don't want to give you too much to confuse you. Just know these things happens when the intervention in the market is realized. That is enough for you. And the results, excess supply, unemployment, decrease in demand, cause recession, not good for the economy. Again, as I said to you, this was the simplest application. I will give you one more chapter, but I don't know if it is okay for you to continue with the new chapter, or shall I have to let it to the next week, because I'm going to introduce you the international market structure. I think I will finish today, but I will put to the system some exercises for you for the QD and QS and the price, equilibrium, price, quantity, and inverse equations with explanations and some exercises. And if you are having problem, next lecture we will solve together, okay, before starting the chapter. Is that okay for you?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
I think I will let it here because I don't want, because we go flashback to the former chapters, and we have already 1.5 hours approximately in lecture. I don't want to start the next lecture because we need 3 hours maybe, or more than 3 hours to finish it. It is better to finish today, and I put the examples for you to the system, and you will see the examples, and then I will put some exercises also for you to do it. Okay, this is not assignment, this is somehow housework. Okay, this is some homework, let's say. Okay, and if you want me to check your exercise, you can send me via email or you contact me with WhatsApp. Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
Yes,
then.
sir.
Okay, then see you next week with the new chapters. And if you have any problem, as I said to you, you can communicate with me either from WhatsApp or via email. After this class, I will upload some exercises for you. Okay, don't forget to do it, and examples also
Okay, sir.
for the supply and demand.
Okay, sir.
And for the videos that you want to see, you can visit Ergin Fikri Akalpler, okay, in the YouTube. There is a YouTube. I am uploading these videos for those who wants to see and refresh their knowledge once again for the classes, okay?
Thank you, sir.
Okay, sir.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank
You're welcome. Thank you.
Have a
Bye-bye.
nice day, sir. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
See
you.
you.